Chefs of Reddit, what was the most ridiculous excuse a customer had for sending back a meal? Not a chef, but a server at the time. Dude ordered a pizza that had fresh jalapenos on it. They are cut lengthwise. When I gave it to him, he flipped out and asked why we put bell peppers on it. I told him those were jalapenos, but he wasn't having it. He walked right into our kitchen and told the chef he couldn't believe he didn't know the difference between bell peppers and jalapenos. The chef just took out a whole jalapeno and said, "This is a jalapeno, right? Guessed? Yeah." Chef cuts it as it appears on the pizza. "And that's what you have, right?" Guessed with a stunned look on his face. "Yeah." He left me an awful tip. You can freaking smell the difference. You shouldn't even have to see the goddamn thing to know what it is. A blind person could tell those two vegetables apart. Woman orders meal and asks for there to be no salt, pepper, garlic, or any other herbs or spices in the meal, then sends it back because it's flavorless. Okay, this isn't the same thing but still completely ridiculous. I worked at an Italian restaurant as a waitress for a short time as the customers sucked. This lady, in her 40s, ordered a Hawaiian pizza and pitched a fit saying how we got her order wrong. I asked her what was wrong with it and she said it wasn't a Hawaiian pizza and the toppings were wrong. I looked at it and it had diced tomatoes, pineapples, and ham. Exactly what the menu stated. Showing her this, she said, "What are you talking about? These are yellow, pineapples are orange." Confused, I got my manager and he tried explaining that pineapples are quite yellow, not orange. But if she didn't like it, she can order something else on the house. She got mad and said no, that she wanted this but with the right pineapples. She started explaining what they looked like. I said, "Wait, do you mean oranges?" As she completely described oranges. She said no, pineapples, and started describing oranges again. At this point, I take my phone out, Google oranges and pineapples and show her. She points at the oranges and yells at the top of her lungs, "Yes, those are, I want those." My manager told her we do not have those and she can either pick something else or eat what she has. She left. What? I don't even. That's the type of life lesson that you get taught in kindergarten, with a refresher course in every first year foreign language class you take for the rest of your life. Where I work, people will often ask for their undercooked burgers to be remade. It's normally no big deal, but every once in a while you'll get a ridiculous customer. This one time, a customer came up to the counter and told us their burger was undercooked and demanded we recook it. Unfortunately, they decided not to tell us until they were 3/4 done with the food. So my manager happily obliged and had their burger remade. After it was finished, he cut the burger into fourths and gave the customer a fresh quarter of a burger. "Well done." The look on their face was justice. "Sir, there are teeth in my food." "Whoa, are you serious?" "Okay, I'll come check it out." "Sir, those are onions." "Well, it's weird, can I order something else?" "Oh my god, there's onions in my mouth." Before I was a chef, I worked a year at a state fair in an Orient Express booth. A woman ordered a plate of sweet and sour chicken, and 10 minutes later came back with every fried chicken chunk broken open, chicken consumed, and demanded a refund saying there was no chicken in the breading. That sounds creepy. I used to work at a zoo snack bar. We had some of those ice cream carts that had wheels and we would roll them out to different areas of the park and then stay there for the remainder of the day. On this particular day, I was stationed at the playground, one of the worst places to be because children would run rampant throughout the park while their parents sat around on benches chatting with friends, or just weren't really paying attention to what their children were doing. I'd have hundreds of kids come up to me on a daily basis and beg for ice cream, but of course I couldn't just give it to them. I'd always ask if they had any money, and they never did, and I'd tell them to go ask their parents for some if they wanted money. Not my problem. On this particular day, it was exceptionally hot, and one kid had a hardcore temper tantrum when I told him I couldn't just give him ice cream, like full blown, on the floor crying and screaming, and I'm just like WTF and continue to help other customers around, his howling body sprawled on the ground. The brat finally pulls himself together and goes to find his mother. About 15 minutes later, Bratty and his mom stroll over to the cart, child sniffling and happy that he persuaded his mother for ice cream, and they start checking out the selections. We had about 15 different ice cream options, all with prices clearly marked. The kid picks out the most expensive option and the mom is all like, whatever you want, sweet baby. I hand her the $3.50 ice cream and she unwraps it and hands it to him. He immediately started drooling and slobbering all over it, and it was a day that was hot as heck, so it started melting quickly. She asks me how much it is and I tell her, gesturing towards the clearly marked sign. She starts screaming at me about how she's not paying that much and I'm just like, sorry mom, there's nothing I can do. He's already started eating it. She's like flipping out at me and finally gives me the money all in change, mostly pennies and nickels. Then, she asks for napkins. Frick me, the park wouldn't let us hand out napkins because too many people littered and the amount that it costed daily to clean up all the napkins in the park was too much for the park to afford, or so they said. Regardless, not my problem. I politely explain why we don't have napkins and apologize for the inconvenience, and this woman literally flips a crap. She grabs the now disgusting drippy ice cream from her son's mouth, starting another temper tantrum, this time with better reason, literally throws it at me, and reaches into my tip jar and pulls out $3.50. She stomped away with her hysterical son and I had to try and wipe the ice cream off my shirt with leaves from a nearby tree, and was forced to sit at my stand for the rest of the day unable to do anything about it. Whoa, I wonder where the kid learned that tantrums get you stuff. This is just the worst kind of parenting ever. I was working at Dairy Queen, not necessarily a chef, but I made some dang good blizzards. Anyways, this lady comes through drive-thru screaming that she wanted a small Oreo blizzard. No big deal. When I handed it out, she jabbed at it with her spoon and looked at it like it was a dead mouse. She stated the Oreos are too pulverized. I want another. B. The Oreos come pre-shredded. Whatever, they cost $25 to make. So I make her another one, mixing it for about half a second, leaving massive chunks of Oreo on top and barely mixed in. I handed out and she said it looks perfect. Her ulterior motive? She wanted the mistake for free. She asked, well, what are you going to do with that other one? Can I have it since you can't give it to another customer? I said, I'm sorry, the Oreos are too pulverized, and threw it away right in front of her. I choked on an avocado pit that was in my sushi. She threatened to sue the company. We had to show her an actual avocado pit to end her complaints. Stealing this story from a server friend of mine. Horrible woman comes in and orders the mussels. After my friend brings the plate out, the woman claims that the kitchen stole the meat out of the shells. My friend tries to explain that live mussels are placed in the pan, so it is not possible that there are more shells than meat pieces. The woman then spreads out the shells and meat on the tablecloth to prove her point. Discovered she was wrong and stormed out. The awkward part was that the woman was at a table of 3 other friends who were mortified and paid for the meal with a huge tip. Something tells me that lady might be 3 friends short now. Currently working as a chef. Got a few creme brulees back. One of the times being that it was too brown, and another one when a customer complained about black dots in the custard, being the vanilla. The browner the better with creme brulee. I hate when restaurants don't torch the top enough and it is just a mouthful of sugar crystals without the satisfying crack. Once had a guy order a grade 9 Wagyu Scotch fillet medium rare. This steak we sold for $63. I think it was rather expensive. He got the steak, cut it into tiny pieces because it was slightly under Mr. Really massive dong move. Because usually if someone says their steak isn't cooked, you just chuck it back on the grill for a few seconds to get it to the right doneness. So yeah, we get this $60 steak back in pieces, and have to cook another for this jerk. We make another one. No worries. He does the exact same thing. Cuts it into tiny pieces. Says it's undercooked. This guy has now wasted $120 worth of food. The whole kitchen is freaking livid. He then orders a pasta, which I make and send out. The guy eats the entire thing. Says it was crap, and then when he goes to pay he said to the waitress, just charge me for a bowl of chips. It's okay. The boss will understand because we are friends. I don't know if the waitress did or not, and I'm not sure what the boss thought about it either, because he was out for the night. Thinking of that story really pisses me off. As a server, a trio of ladies ordered a pork sandwich and 2 cheeseburgers. Normal, right? Nope. They were on the Atkins diet, so they wanted no buns, no cheese, No toppings of any sort. So I bring out 3 plates, 2 with just patties and 1 with a pile of pork. What is this? This is not what I ordered. Well mom, that's a pork sandwich minus the onions, coleslaw, cheese, bun, and fries. Not really sure what they were expecting. In a biker bar restaurant in California on the outskirts of the Mojave, we order our food. Boss is on Atkins and orders a burger wrapped in lettuce. As the whole place looks on to see what this guy is going to do, waitress brings out a burger with bun, completely wrapped in lettuce. Rather than explain, he said thank you and continued to eat the burger like he had done it all his life. I had dinner with a crazy family friend that refused to eat anything brought to the table. Old country style restaurant. No menus. You eat what they bring out. She insisted that they prepare her special portions of their traditional recipe dishes, prepared precisely how she wanted them, and went back to the kitchen to supervise that they were following her instructions exactly. She told us that she had them remake her vegetables 3 times, with pride. I was 12 and it was my birthday dinner. I've never been so embarrassed. I asked the waiter to take me into the kitchen. I told my folks that after she went back, I wanted to see the big kitchen. What I actually did was apologize to all the cooking and wait staff for my guest. For years I thought my parents didn't know. What I did not know is that the manager stopped my mother on the way out and complimented her on having such a polite child. I was 33 when she told me. For a 12-year-old, even had you been an adult, that was very mature. The only pizza we have at our restaurant is a simple margherita pizza. One guy had me make him a meat lovers combo pizza with white sauce, which we don't have, so I had to reduce some Alfredo sauce. Took roughly 15-20 minutes to make, and he sent it back because the bottom for the pizza was too dark for him. He insisted I cooked it too close to the flames, and that's why it tasted too burnt for him. The issue is we use a 3-deck conventional oven, with no flames in sight. Sucker. When I was working in a kitchen, a woman said her soup was too hot and she'd burnt her mouth. Of course, she'd already finished the soup. There's this little trick I know for anybody else who has soup that's too hot. Do nothing. A little while later it will be colder, or if you're really in a hurry you can blow on it. Just yesterday, I am a server. I had a table order the prime rib, and when the prime rib came out to her she was extremely mad that her order was not correct. Apparently she wanted the French dip sandwich. Totally the same thing, and yes, I was supposed to know that by ordering the prime rib, a dish we have on our menu. She actually meant the French dip. She wanted her meal comped. That last part always got me. Not only do they want a replacement, they also want it comped. Sorry bub, one way or the other. As a bartender, I once had a waitress bring back a dirty martini because it tasted like olives. Trying to sound impressive while ordering a drink, are we? I am a line cook in a fairly upscale seafood restaurant. Once in the middle of a busy Saturday dinner rush, we got an order for an ahi tuna tartar. The way we plate our tartars is pretty elaborate and takes a good 5-7 minutes to create. I happened to be working expo that day and was tasked with building the tartar. I sent it out and it was freaking beautiful. Wasabi and sriracha aioli designed surrounding the slices of cucumber, seaweed salad and ginger piled around the perfectly stacked raw tuna marinated in ponzu and eel sauce. I sent it out the window and it came back almost immediately because the lady who had ordered it doesn't do raw fish. Long story short, she requested we saute the fish and rebuild the plate for her with a gross pile of well done cooked tuna chunks slopped in the middle. Please know what it is you're ordering before you order. I saw somebody once send a meal back because they gave her too much food. I don't know why she just didn't not eat it all instead. I've also seen this happen. I was so confused, but there was nothing I could really say to her. I once heard an old man getting pretty flustered and really irritated because he said he wanted 8 French fries and apparently he got 11. You whippersnappers. It's not good for me to have that much salt. Sir, you can just leave some. Don't backsass me. Young man, you know this place makes dang good fries. I was a server some time ago. My restaurant sold large and small bowls of soup. Once, someone ordered a large bowl and finished half, then asked if they could be charged for a small bowl. Ugh, I hate those people. Someone ordered the 10-ounce steak and only ate half and wanted to be charged for half. while still being allowed to take the rest home. I had to sit down with this lady while she explained it all to me. I am now dumber for even listening to her. As a waiter, I had a lady complain that her pasta was too soft, so I had it remade, but then it was too chewy, so I asked her if there was something else she'd like instead of the pasta. So she ordered lasagna. Yup, it was so awkward because by this time everyone else at her table was done eating. I once watched a lady pluck a hair from her head and put it on her pizza. I assumed she wanted it for free. However, before she got the chance to complain, I informed her I had witnessed it with a smug look that shut her down without argument. Heck, if I was a customer sitting at a nearby table and witnessed this, I'd be falling all over my feet to chime in if she tried to pull that trick. Hey, she put her own hair in it. I saw her. I was sitting right there, and I'd say it in a real loud voice so that everyone else in the restaurant can see the bee being called out on it. Not sure if this applies, but worked as a shift supervisor at Pizza Hut. Woman with 3 kids has a long wait to get a table. I felt bad, so offered to pick up her bill and then sat them. She ordered 18 pizzas for her and her 3 kids. It taught me a valuable lesson that being nice while running a business is impossible. This is exactly why you shouldn't say anything, just when they ask for the check. No, it's been taken care of. Thanks for coming, and this evening they get their free meal, but don't have the opportunity to take advantage. Woman orders fries for her and her friend after church. I bring fries. Oh, these are too cold. We want new fries. I go make the fries myself, cook them longer than normal and immediately serve them after taking them out of the fryer. They were steaming still. The woman looks at it, touches it, and I crap you not says, oh, these are ice cold. Exact words. Had to get the manager to deal with it. Used to work for a sandwich restaurant that you filled out your order on a paper bag and wrote your name on it, and when it was done we would call out your name and you would come pick it up. The sandwich making process took about 5 minutes, so most people would go and fill up their drinks and sit down to wait, but not a few special snowflakes. They would come in, order, walk to the end of the prep line and just grab the sandwiches that were there as the actual owners of said sandwich were approaching, sit down and begin to eat it. The sandwich thieves would then get very flustered that the sandwich was nothing like they ordered and push angrily to the front of the line to yell and complain, while the people whose sandwiches had been taken begin to do the same, and we have to make a ton of replacement sandwiches because a group of buttholes don't understand the concept that if they didn't fill out the bag for that sandwich and if their name isn't on it, it's not theirs. Someone did that at Jimmy John's once. Joke was on her because that sandwich had no meat on it. Veggie life. It turns out she couldn't eat it because she was allergic to shrimp. She ordered the jumbo shrimp pasta. I really thought that was self-explanatory. Another guy sent back his cheesesteak because it was too cold. It was pretty cold because he sat and drank for 45 minutes with it sitting in front of him before he even touched it. She said she was allergic because she didn't want to say the real reason. Frequent complainers learn that allergic is a magic word that always gets you a new plate of food. Assistant manager at a burrito place. During our annual town festival, it got packed. I'm talking more in one day than we normally do in a month. Kinda thing. We had a guy complain about the wait. There were 30 chairs in the place, and easily twice as many people waiting for meals. We still had a line running out of the door. It was so packed that we were just yelling for names, handing you your order, and politely explaining that we were breaking fire code, and we needed the customers to head outside to the tables set up for the festival. It was oh my god packed. I cannot stress how crazy it was. So, dude is complaining about the wait. Our cashier girl tells him we are working on it. He gets it, and then immediately asks for it to be remade. He says with the wait, he knows it's cold. Okay, so, we make it a priority. We rush it out in a few seconds, and he goes to stand in the window and eat whatever. I don't have time to argue with him. He's back complaining about how he wants another burrito. This one is wrong. I go out, and he's telling me it's wrong. Not how or why. It's just wrong. The owner comes flying out of the kitchen, pulls the register open, pulls out a $20, walks over, pulls the half-eaten $7 burrito out of the guy's hands, hands him the bill, and tell him to get the heck out. It was pretty nice. That day I learned that if you are a big enough problem, My boss would literally pay you to go away. I was eating at the restaurant at the Four Seasons Hotel in Maui and a nasty old woman sent her lamb chops back, probably a $90 meal, because there wasn't salt on the table. She got the entire refund after bitching to the manager for 45 minutes because the tables didn't have salt and pepper on them. The food itself wasn't even the issue, I think. Alright, server here. This happened to me last night. I work at a restaurant where we offer a grilled 2 pounds lobster for $60. Hefty enough, but you can also get it stuffed with crab meat and breadcrumbs for an additional $10. So, a woman at my table last night inquired about the additional price and goes, well, I'd love to get the stuffing, but I'm not going to run up the bill that much. I told her I completely understood, smiled, and ordered the simply grilled lobster. As it turns out, the kitchen made a mistake and prepared the lobster with the additional stuffing anyways. I brought it down to her and explained to her that there would be no additional charge since it was the kitchen's mistake, and to enjoy. She eats the entire lobster and then waves me over. Yee, I know this had the stuffing and everything, but that's just not what I ordered and I'd like them to remake it for me. I'm just not very full because it was mostly breadcrumbs. I told her politely that it's exactly the same amount of meat, just with breadcrumbs and crab added, and she said then that it seemed like we had removed a lot of the lobster to fill with breadcrumbs. At this point my manager came over and assured her this was not the case. Still, she demanded that we make her another. She started making a real fuss about how this wasn't what she ordered and that the enhanced version of the dish left her hungry. Needless to say, the kitchen was pee. We remade it, didn't charge her for the second one, and even tried to comp her dessert to keep the bee happy. And what did she do after we kissed this much butt? Stiffed me on a $140 tab, making sure to write on the bill the service was horrible because I think she picked up on our disgust at her lack of tact. Fun times. That's the thing about crap like this. If the point of doing all these things is to keep goodwill around or whatever, it's a complete failure. You're going to bend over backwards and these people are still going to complain. Might as well tell them to go frick themselves. Customer orders a blue prime rib. Prime rib comes back. It's too bloody. They want it without blood. What the fricking frick did you expect when you ordered blue? They just wanted it dyed with blue food coloring. It wasn't like they ordered it blue. When I was younger, I was the cook for a really popular Denny's. It was basically the cult spot to go to. Wedding, Denny's after. Proms, Denny's after. You get the idea. At the time I had bright pink hair, something to keep in mind. Now, it's tapering down a bit. It's around 1 or so it's before bar rush. So my other cook for the shift took a break, leaving just me. One of the waitresses come back saying that one of her customers found a hair in her French toast. I saw the plate. Everything had been eaten aside from 2 little pieces, with a long black hair between. Now, I made her a new order. French toast, bacon, hash browns, and brought it back to the table. As I put it down, I said, "Here is your remade order. I would like to point out that your waitress has short blonde hair." I removed my hat. "I have pink hair, and you have long black hair. Conveniently the same color as the hair you found. Next time you want free food, go to a fricking soup kitchen." And went back to my line. My night manager and GM were both huge stoners at the time, and thought the whole thing was hilarious. As a chef, reading that made my nether bits tingle with satisfaction. Once had someone return a burger saying there was a bug in it. Her kid interrupted with, "But mommy, you told me to put that there." I had the most smug look as she left shamed. Not a chef, but as a server a customer sent back a rare prime rib because it looked like a dead animal. I suppose he wanted me to go and get a live one. Usually I end up saying like it is a dead animal to people like this. People aren't always happy with me. Did a rather large takeout order for a family, maybe $65-75. They didn't tip, which sucks, but it is takeout. They come back 4 days later with the salad, probably the cheapest thing in the order, and complained that it wasn't fresh. It looks like they left it sitting on the dashboard. Bartender comes and gets me out of the kitchen. She's a sweet girl whose job was to look pretty and serve drinks. She doesn't really have the mean side you need to deal with ripoffs. They want a full refund and give him the receipt. You know how when you rip the receipt from a register the teeth leave the jagged edge? That was gone. They had used something to cut the date and time I made their food off. I look at the receipt and I ask where the rest of the food was if they wanted a full refund. Before they could even answer, I told them that I had personally made their food 4 days ago and that they had already pulled a similar trick like this before. They denied it, but I just told them not to come back if they don't like my food. My dad's a chef, and on a few occasions customers would send back their food because there was blood coming out of their steak. They had ordered them medium rare and it's not blood, but meat juices. People. I had one guy send back his pizza because it didn't look like the picture of a pizza he had on his phone. The picture had nothing to do with our restaurant or compared to anything we offered. He walked it back to the kitchen himself, told us it was overdone. Honestly, I would have said it was closer to underdone, and shoved the picture at us. We did end up trying to make something similar to what he requested, but if he wouldn't have been such a jackass, we would have been much more willing to accommodate. Ugh. Working in a kitchen. One of my absolute pet peeves is when a customer waltzes into the kitchen without permission. Butthole. GTFO right now. Not a chef, but was working at customer service at a Food Lion. A woman comes in with 80/20 ground beef her husband bought 2 days prior. When I asked what was the problem, she told me that her husband had bought bad meat. When I asked her if it was spoiled or had a problem, she said that the beef was pink. That was just one of the days that I got written up for laughing at a customer to their face. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.